Creep in, my Halloween horrors of Second Life. I'm Felix Lubezki, your vault keeper from the crypts, inviting you to join another session of gruesome grumblings that emanate from my vile and vicious vault. So plop yourself down on the satin-covered coffin and get comfy. Don't mind the mold and wormholes. It's second-hand, you know. You there, put down that gun. Kill your mother-in-law later, and you, woman, stop! Your sleeping husband didn't want that close a shave. And you fiend, let those matches alone. Your little brother's toes can wait. In other words, drop dead, that is. Everything you're doing, and listen. Listen while I recount the sordid tale entitled Split Personality. The clicking of a telephone dial stuttered sibilantly in the sparsely furnished room. Ed King ground his cigarette in the already overflowing ashtray and softly blew smoke rings until his party answered. Then glib, honey-coated words dripped from his lips, extolling the virtues of the fake charity he supposedly represented. He listened a moment, a smile curling his face, and then spoke again, as more words honey-coated. Why, you're more than generous, Miss Galveston. The little kiddies need our aid so badly. Yes, just mail your donation to P.O. Box 749, Church Street Station. Yes, the children bless you. Yep, Ed King was a charity racketeer, a con man, out to milk the gullible. But he didn't rely on phone calls alone. He went from door to door also, on the theory that a buck in the pocket is worth a dozen promises over the phone. Hang it all, no answer. I hate to pass up a private house, but I can't stay here all day. An unanswered door was a donation lost, Ed King's way of thinking. Disgruntled, he turned and started down the steps. Passing postman stopped, grinned. You'd no chance of getting into that house, mister. The Blair sisters never open the door to anyone except the Reverend Mac 80. Oh, what's the matter with them? They got the plague or something? Oh no, just eccentric. They never come out. They don't let anyone in. Such a shame. 2 young girls with a few zillion bucks and they're a couple of hermits. It's a shame. It sure is. Just my luck. 10 feet away from a fortune and I can't eat. What's that? A shriek of dismay, Ed looked up. A young, pretty girl leaned from the top floor window, anxiously trying to coax a treed cat to safety. Looks like the cat is afraid to move. Say, if that's one of the Blair sisters, maybe this is the break I need. With a theatrical flourish, Ed King stripped off his jacket and dramatically flung it to the ground. He rolled up his shirt sleeves, revealing his tan, muscular forearms, and with a bold, determined expression, bravely shouted, Fear not, fair lady, I shall save your kitten. Dauntlessly, he began climbing the tree. Trees never used to be this difficult to climb when he was a boy. Seems they grew taller now. His knees were skinned, and he was certainly blisters were rapidly growing in his hands, but if his plan worked, anything was worth it. Here, kitty kitty, nice kitty kitty, nice kitty kitty. Here, you mangy damn cat, or I'll wring your neck. For 20 minutes, Ed struggled mightily with the snarling, clawing cat, but finally, his face and hands scratched and bleeding, he majestically delivered the vicious little beast to its greatly relieved owners. The girls debated. I think just this once, Amy, it'd be proper if we allowed this man in, after all. Well, perhaps you're right, Susan. He did rescue our cat, and he seems in need of some first aid, so... For Pete's sake, the guy could bleed to death while they delved into the intricacies of the moral code, but they relented, and a short time later, old Honeytongue was having tea. I trust your wounds feel better now, Mr. King. Oh, yeah, indeed, yes, dear Miss Blair. Your soothing medications have eased the pain a great deal, and if I may say so, the tea is delicious. Naturally, Ed slightly moved the conversation around until, yes, Susan and I have equal say over our wealth, half and half, share and share alike, you know, ha 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 ha. He remained for several hours, exciting them with mythical tales of his heroic deeds and complimenting them abundantly. Amy and I think that, well, if you should care to return, you honor me, my dear, I accept. He returned many times, and he sat there sipping tea, relating stories, bestowing compliments. The twin sisters sat in open-mouthed wonder and admiration. Oh, Amy, he's so gallant, so gentlemanly, and so strong. He's such a man of the world and so respectable. Susan, to hear you talk, one would think you were falling in love with him. Why, Amy, I didn't mean that. That is, please don't. I mean, oh, stop getting flustered. It's all right. I understand how you feel about him. I feel the same way. He is wonderful, isn't he? Meanwhile, in his hotel room, the kind, gentle, honest, strong, brave, noble, respectable man of the world paced the small floor nervously. Everything's going along fine. I'm sure I can marry either one of them. All I have to do is pop the question, and yet that will only give me half their money. There must be some way for me to get it all. Dang it, too bad there isn't two of me. Two of me? Of course, twins! On his next visit, Edwin exploded the news of his twin brother. A twin brother? How grand, but why haven't we met him? He's been away, but he's due to return soon. It never occurred to me to mention it before. You see, my twin brother and I own some very important holdings in South Africa. The nature of the work demands that one of us be there at all times. He stayed there for 1 month, and I replaced him until the following month, and so on. I must leave for South Africa tomorrow. In a few days, my brother will return here. If I'm not being too forward, I'd like very much for him to meet you lovely girls. Why, that would be fine. I've written him so much about you two. He feels he knows you as well as I. You'll have no difficulty recognizing him, but still, I'll give a letter of introduction. Whatever you say, Edwin. Yes, whatever you say. For the next few days, Edwin remained in his hotel room. Amy and Susan thought he was on his way to South Africa, but actually he was preparing for his twin brother's appearance. Let's see. New luggage, new clothes. Better take a sunlamp treatment to remove my tan. It's supposed to be hot in South Africa. Ed lounged about his room for a few more days and made certain time and again that all was in readiness. At last, posing as non-existent brother, he presented himself. I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds. I'm Alphonse King. My brother Edwin gave me this letter of introduction. Of course, Alfonso, we recognize you immediately. Do come in. Once again, the two naive Blair sisters sat in admiration as old Glib-Libs turned on the charm. I feel I must say that you are both, indeed, everything Edwin said you were. I feel as I've known you for years. Oh, Alfonso, that's just what Edwin said. How nice. Isn't it grand? Alfonso and I, Edwin, are identical. That makes one for each of us, doesn't it, Susan? A month later, Edwin came back, and the time was right. Amy, there comes a time in every man's life when he feels the need of female companionship. Oh, Edwin. And so they were married. The minister from the little church around the corner performed the simple, quiet ceremony. Edwin and Amy, I now pronounce you man and wife. Sob. In the days that followed, Amy learned the meaning of marital bliss, and she confided in Susan, who was becoming impatient. Oh, Amy, do you think Alfonso, you know what I want to say. Yes, Susan, I know. My Edwin says he's sure Alfonso will ask for your hand as soon as he returns. Again, Edwin left for South Africa. He lolled about his hotel room, relaxing and enjoying himself. Haha, what a setup. I could pull the wool over their eyes forever. And about a week later, Alfonso returned. Susan, there comes a time in every man's life when he feels the need of female, companionship. Oh, Alfonso. And so they were married. The minister from the little church around the corner performed the simple, quiet ceremony. Alfonso and Susan, I now pronounce your man and wife. Todd. And in the days that followed, Susan learned the meaning of marital bliss, and then the two sisters confided in one another. Oh, Amy, I'm so happy. Alfonso's so kind and gentle. It's a shame both our husbands can never be with us at the same time, but now has the old king worked into a terrific deal. 2 namby-pamby innocents for wives, a trainload of money, and a week's vacation from the little women every month, no questions asked. Wow! Months passed, and the grand hoax continued, successfully. But Ed was losing his suntan. But Edwin, why buy a sunlamp? So I can keep the tan I have. I don't want to get a bad burn when I return to South Africa. Edwin stretched out his bathrobe and promptly fell asleep. Unknown to him, a sudden gust of wind lifted his bathrobe sash and very gently, accidentally, draped it across his back, so that on awakening, a wide strip of white was emblazoned there. He never guessed. But Edwin, you're back. Yes, a little too red, overslept a little. Feels fine, though. Now when Alfonso returned on the next shift, Susan was naturally pleased. She was so happy to see him, she didn't even think to make a remark about the nice wide strip of white across his back. But the following day, when she and Amy talked, It was so humorous, Amy. There was this broad back, tan and rippling with muscles, and that white strip. Tee hee, I know just what you mean. Edwin has the same untanned strip across his back. It is quite comical. Ha ha. Amy, it can't be. It can't be true. It can't be. But Susan, if it is, I mean, that would mean... What a horrid thought. Oh, I'd be so ashamed, Amy. We must find out. You're right, Susan. How? Now I think I know how. Listen. The night before Alfonso was to leave for South Africa, Susan remained awake until his deep breathing assured her he was asleep. Then, silently, she reached into her night table and brought forth a small bottle of peroxide. She dabbed a few drops on the back of his head, causing the hair to bleach. There, now we'll see. As usual, a week passed before Edwin came home. He entered happily, and as he turned his back to hang up his hat, Amy and Susan stared in horror at the small white patch of hair on the back of his head. Amy, it's true. Edwin and Alfonso are the same man. What has he done to us? Merciful heavens, he's not a twin. We're ruined. He soiled us for life. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's so horrible. Ugh. And he's made us bigamists. He's took so foul advantage of us, Susan. He must pay. Yes, he must pay. And he will pay. Seems like everybody in the story made at least one big mistake. This sun lamp really stripped old Honey words of his racket. 10 to 1, he won't do it again. Why do I give such odds? Read on, you'll see. Share and share alike, remember? The bloody axe stood in the hallway, leaning against the wall between the two bedrooms, and if you were to peek inside the closed bedroom doors, you would see Amy in her bed caressing her side of Edwin, and Susan doing likewise with her side of it. For the very first time, the two shy, innocent twins were able to enjoy the company of their husbands at the same time, for in their unbalanced state, they had split him too, right down the middle. And now, it's my turn to curdle your blood. Yep, it's your host in the Crypt of Terror, the Crypt Keeper shrieking, ready to narrate another nauseating necromancy, another delving into the delirious, another spine tingler. I call this yelp yarn from my collection. Who-Doughnut. It was the 7th one inside of a month. 7 women murdered. They stood around, the latest victims awkwardly sprawled. Chalk white corpse. Just like the other 6, Captain. Wounds all over her body. Those same donut-shaped wounds. Dead about 24 hours. Here comes that blasted news snooper Hughes, as if I didn't have enough trouble. Danny Hughes, crime reporter for the Morning Globe, elbowed his way through the gaping crowd held back by a uniformed policeman. Well, Captain, I see you boys are right on the job after the killer is struck. Oh, shut up, Hughes. Lay off, will you? We're doing the best we can. Yeah, and meanwhile 7 murders have been committed and you haven't even come up with one suspect. We combed the docks. We've done in as suspicious-looking seamen we could get our hands on. We're up a blind alley. Trouble with you cops is you get hold of one miserable clue and you won't let it go. Look, Danny, traces of sea brine were found on the clothes and skin of each victim. So who comes in contact with sea brine? Seamen, dock workers, mermaids. Listen, Captain, what about the blood? What about those wounds? Hugh pointed to several donut-shaped red welts that covered an arm projecting from the seat that draped the latest victim. The blood was drained from each of the victims, drained dry. Are you going to give me that vampire routine again? I'm telling you, vampires drain the victim from their blood from their victims' bodies. Those round red welts. The killer obviously beats his victim with some sort of weapons, Danny. Look, vampires don't exist, kid. They're legends, fiction, comic book stuff. Alright, you stubborn idiot. You keep blundering all the way you have been and keep lambasting you in column until you get the murderer. Besides, I did some research on vampires, smart guy. They suck blood by piercing their victims first with their fangs. They leave 2 neat puncture marks on their victims' throats, not donut-shaped wounds. Danny Hughes pushed his way through the gathered morbidly curious. and sped back to the Globe office. Hey, Pat. Hey, you're working late tonight. The chief told me to wait until you got back so I could do a rewrite on the latest killing, Mr. Hughes. Danny slammed down on his typewriter. Okay, Pat, I'll have it for you in 5 minutes. They're holding the presses for the new makeup, Mr. Hughes. Danny's typewriter began to chatter. Finally, here you are, honey. Thanks. He stood over, inhaling her perfumed fragrance, watching her edit and correct his article. Calm. You should learn to spell, Mr. Hughes. I'll drive you home tonight, Pat. Pat finished, got up, and hurried off to the makeup department. Danny watched her go, eyeing her trim figure, then, ready, shall we go? Sure thing. They pulled up before Pat's apartment house. Danny slid his arm around her. Okay, Mr. Hughes, thanks, but this is where I get out. Don't be in such a hurry, honey. Let's talk. Tried to hold her. She pushed him off, pulling his arms away, struggling. Cut it out, Mr. Hughes. I'm not the type. Cripes, guys like you are all armed. Please, let go of me. Okay, you can't blame a guy for trying. Pat got out of the car and stamped across the sidewalk to the apartment door. He stood there fumbling in her purse for her keys. Danny shrugged and pulled away. See you tomorrow at the office, honey. As Danny swung his car around the corner, he noticed a strange-looking figure. Collar pulled up, hat brim turned down, moving along the deserted street. He especially noticed the eyes burning in the blackness of his shadowed face. Now there's a suspicious character if I ever saw one. But the next morning, Danny decided to apologize to pay for his actions of the previous night. Where's Pat, Ed? Don't know, Danny. She hasn't shown up today. At 10:30, Danny started to worry. Finally, he hurried to his car and sped across town to Pat's apartment. Something was wrong. I could feel it. Police cars lined the streets. An ambulance, not needed, was just pulling away as Danny drove up. What happened? Another murder. It was Pat. She was dead. Lay in the lobby, covered in an inevitable white sheet. Good Lord, but last night when I left her. You got some explaining to do, Danny. A lot of explaining. Better come along down to headquarters. They questioned him all day. Danny stuck to his story. They kept it up. Into the night. She was covered with those same red donut-shaped welts, Hughes. What did you hit her with? I didn't. I swear it. When I left her, she was alive. Lab reports came in. Blood drained, like the others. Brine traces on her clothes. Do I look like a vampire? Shut up, Hughes. You're in enough of a jam. Captain, just got a call. Some dame on the south side was just attacked in a hallway. She managed to get away. Her screaming attracted Patrolman Hennessy, who was pounding a beat nearby. He chased the would-be killer down to the waterfront and lost him. The waterfront, there, you see? Crummy newshound, I was right. Killer's a waterfront character. A minute ago you were accusing me, you dumb dick. Am I free to go? Yeah, you're free. Want to come along? I want to question the dame. You can bid in, but you can't print what she says unless I give you the okay. Agreed, let's go. A woman was in her 30s. She sobbed out her story. He must have followed me. He came up behind me in the hall. He grabbed my wrists and held my arms out like this. What did he look like? I couldn't see his face, but I saw those burning eyes. He had a hat pulled down over his face, his collar turned up, and he wore gloves. I remember because when he grabbed me, I tried to scream, but he clamped a gloved hand over my mouth. That's the guy I saw last night, Captain, the one I told you about. He stank. It was a funny smell like the docks, like the ocean. Yeah, that's it. It was awful. I managed to break away and screaming. The officer came and I guess I fainted. That's all. They left her and drove back uptown. Well, Hughes, what have you got to say now about your vampire? You heard her story. Guess I was wrong, Captain, but something she said bothers me. I wish I could put my finger on it. And those welts. It was after midnight that Danny, not being able to sleep, drove downtown to the docks. He left his car and began to walk. When I said I could think of wish I could think of what it was that James said that bothers me. Suddenly Danny saw him, moving along on rubbery legs, his collar turned up, his hat brim turned down, his eyes burning. What the? There he goes! It's him, the killer! Danny darted after the swiftly moving, gliding figure, keeping out of sight. He headed towards the waterfront park. Lord, he looked strange. Doesn't seem to have a neck. The loping figure crossed waterfront park towards a large stone structure. He's going into the city aquarium. The aquarium smelled of brine in the sea and places miles deep as Danny slid in through the door. This explains the brine on the clothes. You must hang out here. Huge glass tanks lined the walls about the aquarium. Exotic fish from the four corners of the earth gaped out at Danny as he moved down before them. He's around here somewhere, hiding. Suddenly Danny saw it, the empty tank. The sign screamed at him. Octopus. Devilfish. Good Lord! The woman, she said he grabbed her by the wrist and held her arms out, and then, my God, then he clamped a hand over her mouth. That means Danny could hear Pat's voice that night as she struggled. Cripes, guys like you are all arms. The wounds, the donut-shaped wounds. The killer is... The sound behind Danny made him spin around suddenly. It slithered toward him on its 8 suction cup tentacles. Behind the slouched hat and overcoat and the gloves lay in a heap on the floor. An octopus! Before Danny Hughes could move, 8 tentacles had wrapped around him and hundreds of drawing discs were sucking the warm blood from his struggling body. Yep, Danny was all wrapped up in his work that night, kiddies. The sucker. Why anybody sweats blood for a miserable job, I'll never know. But Danny did. Now he's headed his last column. Paragraph 1, obituaries. As for Oscar the Octopus, well, you can see him anytime down at the aquarium. He's still making his nightly sojourns, though. So if a guy taps you on the shoulder, holds out his hand for a match, tips his hat, and straightens his tie at the same time, beware. Bye now. Batten down, my tomb dwellers of Second Life. Vault of Horror number 30 sails into Refuge, where shipwreck strands you in terror. Seek shelter. He could hear the footsteps more distinctly now. There were several cops in pursuit, and they were closing in on him with each tick of the clock. He'd never been able to make it to the exit. He'd have to have a hiding place right here in the building. It was that, or 10 years in Dannemora for the second burglary conviction. He could ditch the stuff, he supposed, but he had put too much time and effort into his job to throw away priceless stones in a wave of hysteria. That bundle clutched in his hand would bring in 15 grand. It was worth the risk he was taking. Walking swiftly, so as not to arouse the suspicion of the building guards, he found himself entering a vast circular room with huge glass enclosures dotting the high walls. It seemed at first, as he crossed the enormous room, that he was in a glass bowl of some kind. No place to hide in here, he thought, conscious of the clicking heels coming down the corridor behind him. In another minute, he might have to break into a sprint. Then he was really finished. If there wasn't a place of refuge in the next room, his goose was cooked. A sudden movement behind one of the glass walls made him stop in his tracks. There were hordes of fish behind those walls. It must be the aquarium section of the building. His eyes darted quickly from tank to tank. Off to one side, separated from the other glass enclosures, was a pool in which he thought he might be able to drop unseen. The fish were small. He noted as he raced towards it. There were plenty of green shrubbery floating in the rain, enough to hide him until his pursuers departed. Moving quickly, he slid in beside the tank, itching up the slick glass wall, and let himself down in the water just as the 2 policemen ran into the room. Making himself inconspicuous as possible amid the clanging greenery, he drew a deep breath and then ducked under the surface. Through the thick glass, he saw the policeman hesitate in the center of the chamber, glance around uncertainly, then race on through the far door. Sobbing for breath, his head cleared the surface and he gulped fresh air again. The coast was clear now. Almost playfully, he slapped at several of the fish coming towards him. With dismay, he felt a sharp pain in the calf of one leg, and at one moment he saw for the first time the sign painted on the front of the tank. Piranha, the sign proclaimed. Flesh-eating fish. They were around him now, covering him like a shroud. Their needle-sharp teeth tore at his skin. Their weight and slashing teeth engulfed and swirled around him in a wave of blind savagery. He screamed for help, dropped the bundle he'd been so anxious to protect. Desperately he tried to fight back, to fight his way out of this refuge he had found. But their ferocity kept him captive there in the tank. He felt the skin of his arms and legs torn from his body. It tasted blood on his lips where the piranha had slashed at his face. He saw circles of flame before him, knew that he was being torn to pieces, felt their deadly teeth searing into his throat now, his chest being ripped open before their relentless attack. Here's a gay tale of tingling terror. I call this laugh riot. Practical joke. It was a morning in mid-July. It was hot and sticky, and the crowded subway train smelled of sweat. There were 3 of them, medical students from Uptown University. They hung on the swaying subway straps, whispering among themselves. Someone will go on the end of the line. We'll get out of the stop before. The train sped on towards Coney Island. At each stop, more people, disgusted with the sweltering city heat and longing for a plunge into the cooling surf, jammed their way into the beach house subway car. The beach-bound subway car. The straps were all occupied with hangers-on, swinging back and forth. Brighton Beach, next stop, Coney Island. Come on, fellers. The train pulled into the Brighton Beach station. The doors swung open. People started pushing towards it. Excuse me, getting out. Pardon me. The car was emptying fast. The 3 medical students stood on the platform, peering back into the train at the remaining riders, watching their faces. Where do they see it? It'll kill them. Those who had been standing scrambled for seats. The straps, once jammed with hands, now were almost entirely unused. Only one clenched fist hanger-on remained, clinging. Watch the doors. The doors slammed. The train began to move. Good Lord! On the platform, the 3 medical students howled with glee, pointing. Look at the face on that old bag. Ha! Get a load of expression on that guy's puss. What a riot! Indeed, inside the recently vacated subway car, those who remained did have expressions of varied emotion on their faces. Some were pale, some chalk white, some green, some turned away. The entire car was staring at the remaining arm hanging on the strap, with no body attached. They sat upon the crowded beach down near the water, laughing and talking. Nearby, a napping bather, partially covered with a mound of sand, newspaper over his face. Hey, tide's coming in. Let's move. Nice. The 3 medical students picked up their beach bags and pushed back, away from the incoming surf, back into the crowd that overflowed the sand. Hey, mister, tide's coming in. Better move. The napping bather was oblivious to the students' warnings. He slept on, the 3 of them melted into the crowd. Say, the tide is coming in. Better wake that guy up. They watched on the safety and shelter of the crowd as someone approached the soundless sleeping figure. Hey, mister, hey, better wake up. No response. Others seemed to fall over the immediate area. All eyes turned. There was a distant tittering. Mister, wake up. Mister, hey, can you hear me? Maybe he's deaf. Someone lifted the folded newspaper, a blank sand mound staring back at him. Hey, mister, hi, how can you breathe? Give me a hand here. Someone else knelt to grab the prostrate form's legs. They came away from the mound of sand with no body attached. Good Lord! They moved along the boardwalk, the 3 of them, the tears streaming from their eyes as they laughed. Did you see the expression on the dame when her boyfriend pulled? And he stood there holding the legs, staring at them. The amplified voices of the barkers blared at the 3 medical students from the various concessions along the boardwalk. One of them stopped and nodded. Hey, get a load. Just what we're looking for. Come on. It was one of those photographer shots found at mostly any amusement area. It had the usual old-time auto and the phony boat with the painted waves set in front of a backdrop. Hello, boys. Want a gag picture taken? How about it, fellers? Swell. One of the boys pointed to an inevitable card with 2 holes in it where the heads of the exaggerated pair of figures painted upon it should have been. How about one of you 2 standing behind that? Good idea. Anything you like, boys. There was much laughter, and the crowd began to gather. The photographer ducked under his hood, focused on the faces peering out from the opening. Ready? Ready? Shoot! The shutter clicked. One of the boys came out from behind the card and melted into the crowd. The other's face still ogled from the hole. Okay, you can come out now. The face didn't move. The photographer went over and wrapped the card. For a moment, the head swayed and pitched outward. Good Lord! The head rolled to the photographer's feet. He screamed. Dee! The crowd took up the hysterical chorus. 3 medical students darted up the side street, gleefully giggling. What a riot! Did you see his face? I'm dying! The subway train sped up back uptown. They Say, red-faced and teary-eyed, the three beach gags, not empty of their gory contents, parked at their feet. I think I'm gonna be sick. I haven't laughed so hard since my... Cut it out already. I can't laugh anymore. By the time they reached the campus, their discussion had become serious. Now what? Someone's bound to check those corpses. They'll find one of them with their head and arm and legs gone. The only thing to do is dispose of the rest of it. Maybe it won't be missed. Come on, let's see if we can sneak into the lab. The medical building of the university was locked. It was Saturday during the summer session. It was to be expected. Let's have the key swiped. Here. The watchman's across the library. I saw him. They moved down the silent halls. We'll chop what's left up into small segments and take them out to the beach bags. Maybe we can think of some more gags. Oh no, I couldn't. Until they came to the refrigerated room where the bodies used for dissections were kept. Roll it out. Hurry. Slab rolled out of the wall, revealing a partially dismembered corpse. They set to work, finishing the job. You know, this guy here wasn't unidentified. He willed his body to medical research. Well, he won't mind if we used him for very unmedical jokes. As they crowded around the body, wielded their scalpels hastily, they never noticed the coiled-up intestines slither from the beach bag behind them. What do we do with the bags of what's left? Bury them somewhere. Maybe put a few rocks in them and throw them in the river. You hear something? The slimy sucking sound of the intestines sliding across the marble floor made the three gag-loving students spin around. Good Lord, it's a snake! No, oh my God! On a hunch, the police investigating the cases reported the previous day checked with the university. When they got to the refrigerated room where the corpses were kept, they found the three medical students, their faces blue, their eyes bulging from their sockets, their tongues hanging from their wide-open mouths, a long strand of intestine wrapped tightly around each of their necks. Choke? Which is exactly what they did, officer. Thank you for your intelligent comment. And as for you readers, well, if any of you are med schools, don't get any ideas. Remember what happens to med students who use parts of their bodies as gags. They gag, alright, until they drop dead. Now, if you got the guts, go on to the old witch for the wind-up to my muck bag. Hey, well, salt my slop stew and sling me a slant, if it's not my turn to entertain you. Okay, the crud in the cauldron is drawing, which means it's reeking right. We're done to perfection in culinary chatter. Bet that. So hop into the haunt, whores, the haunts of fear, and your scream-sculling the old witch will pop a putrid portion of prose into your yelping yaps. I call this taste of terror. Notes on you. Notes to you. Judson Slack reread the letter 4 times. He just couldn't believe it. The letter was from an anonymous friend. It was one of those shocking letters filled with things one cares not to read to one about one's own wife. It read, Dear Mr. Slack, since I cannot sit idly by and see you made a fool of, I am writing this note to inform you that your wife, Eleanor, is carrying on an illicit love affair with Andrew Cookson. I saw them together last night, the 25th, in his parked car. Sob in an compromising choke. Oh no, Eleanor. Judson Slack tried to go back to his office work, but couldn't. He made a phone call and then drove home. Judson, why so early? You were out last night. You said you went to play cards. You lied, didn't you? No, I did go to play cards. You lied. I checked with your Gabby girlfriend. She said you didn't come over last night. You saw Andrew Cookson last night, didn't you? Andrew Cookson? No, I didn't. Then where did you go? I happen to know that you were out with him, parked down by the river in his car. Judson, how could you say such a thing? How could you believe such a thing about me? I thought you loved me. Trying to make a sucker out of me, eh? Don't put on the tear act, Eleanor. I found you out. Now I'm through with you. Judson, wait. Don't leave me. I lied about playing cards last night. I admit it, but I didn't see Andrew Cookson. I wanted to be a surprise. It went shopping last night for your birthday present. Ha, a likely story. Pretty good, but no dice. I got proof, Eleanor. I got proof that you're nothing but a dirty cheat, and now I'm pulling out. Goodbye. Judson Slack slammed the door and stamped down the walk. From the house, he could hear his wife's pitiful sobbing. He flung open the car door angrily, swung it shut, and sped away. What was that? It sounded like a backfire. I'd have my carburetor cleaned one of these days. Next morning, Judson came home for his clothes. He found Eleanor sprawled on the floor, a revolver in one hand, a small package in the other. She'd been dead for some time. The tag on the package was short and sweet. It read, Happy birthday, darling, from your loving wife. Then Eleanor, my God, what have I done to you? Morton Cox read the letter with mixed emotion of hurt and anger. It was a painful letter. It read, it was a shocking awakening, hard to believe. Simon Pitter, his most trusted employee, is the person you are seeking, the one who stole the $10,000 from your safe last month. Since the robbery, he was deposited a large amount of money in his account at the same, bought a new car, and the letter was signed an anonymous friend. Morton Cox made several phone calls, then he went into Simon Pitter's little office. And I trusted you. Next year I was going to retire you with a lifetime pension. I thought you were a loyal employee, and you did this to me. Huh? Well, Mr. Cox, I don't understand. Get out, Pitter. Get out of this office. Don't ever show your rotten face around here again, you dirty thief. Thief? Me? What do you mean? You know very well what I mean, Pitter. I found out about your deposit, your new car, your new clothes. Well, all right, so I ought to have you arrested. Get out of here. Mr. Cox, I didn't do anything. You're talking about that $10,000 theft. I had nothing to do with it. I'm letting you off easy, Pitter. I could send you up the river 20 years for this. Don't try to deny it. I got the proof. You're nothing but a filthy criminal. I never stole anything in my life, Mr. Cox. How could you think of the things of me? After all of these years. Mr. Cox left Simon blubbering like a baby and stormed back into his office. He reached for the phone. Suddenly, there was a scream. Mr. Pitter, don't! Good Lord! Ah! Mr. Pitter leaped 7 stories to his death on the street below. Mr. Cox shook his head sadly and went downstairs. When the police came, he killed himself because I found out that he was the one that stole the money. Him? Pitter? Ha! He was clean as a whistle. He was on his vacation when it happened. Don't you remember? Poor guy went west, claimed his sister's estate, died lifting some money. Averill Minton looked out of his bank office at the crowds that lined up before each teller's cage. What's going on up there, Fields? Looks like almost everybody in town's up there. They're all withdrawing their money, Mr. Minton, closing their accounts. Mr. Minton paled. Not all of them. Good Lord, they'll bust the bank. I'll be ruined. It's this letter, Mr. Minton. Everyone seems to have gotten one, of course. I don't believe a word, but the townsfolk... Averill Minton read the letter. It was signed an anonymous friend. It said, Dear Depositor, the president of the town bank, Averill Minton, has been embezzling bank funds. Any day now the police will discover it, and your life savings will be lost. Stop them, Bert. Tell them it isn't true. How could they suddenly have lost faith in me? I tried, Mr. Minton. I really tried. They're frightened. All my life I've lived honestly, tried to gain my fellow townspeople's confidence. Now, with only a word of a poison-pen letter, they forsake me, turn against me. I have it, Mr. Minton. Wait here. Bert Fields hurried out of Mr. Minton's office. He raised his voice above the clamor in the bank lobby. Wait, listen to me. I know you don't want to take any chances, but why? Why worry about your money? We're insured. Your money is safe, even if what that letter says about Mr. Minton is true. And believe me, it isn't. That's right. Our deposits are federally insured. Why not give the old man Minton a chance? But it was too late. In his office, Averill Minton slumped across his desk, the letter opener sticking out of his chest. Look! Oh! Ambrose Baldwin was dried up, bitter old man. No one liked Ambrose Baldwin, especially Mr. Popkin, the candy store man. Ambrose was always especially nasty to Mr. Popkin. Service! Blast your service! Oh, hold your horses, Mr. Baldwin. These kids were here first. They get served first. What'll it be, kids? Mr. Popkin made the kids their malteds and then finally turned to Mr. Baldwin. You're lucky you're the only candy store in town, or else I wouldn't come here. For my part, you don't have to come here at all. Give me a bottle of ink. Here, take it with my compliments as a parting gift. Don't bother coming back to my store. I don't need you and your sourpuss business." Mr. Baldwin cursed Mr. Popkin and stormed out of the store. Soon he came to his ramshackle old house. "Well, we'll soon fix you, Mr. Popkin," just like the others. Once inside his house, the old man sat down at his table, took a pen and the new bottle of ink, and began to write. "Let's see, dear County Commissioner of Public Health. The candy store in our town, owned by Mr. Popkin, is a disgrace and a threat to the health of this community." And the next day at the county seat, "The candy he sells our children is wormy and rotten. Rodents infest the place, running right out in front of the people as stupid cockroaches and other filthy pests. I demand this store be shut down. Anonymous." "Well, let's go over and take a look at that candy store, Commissioner." Meanwhile, in Mr. Popkin's spick and span store, if I could only get my hands on that poison pen letter writer, I'd... Who can it be? Who would want to do such a thing? How can we find out? Mr. Judson Slack, Mr. Horton Cox, and Mr. Burt Felt sat in a booth, out of sight. My Ellie killed herself because I believed what that liar said. My old friend, my most trusted employee, Simon Pitter, he too, because I believed. And Mr. Minton, his heart was broken when they all believed those lies. Two men walked into the store. One stopped to talk to Mr. Popkin, the other moseyed around. "Mr. Popkin, we received an anonymous letter about your store, that it was filthy, rodent-infested, that you sold wormy candy, had cockroaches." "My store? But who could have written such terrible things about my store?" "I have the letter right here, Mr. Popkin. See for yourself." But this is a blank piece of paper." "Huh. Let's see. Say, that's funny. Huh. Must be some sort of gag, Mr. Popkin. I'm sorry. This place is clean, Commissioner. Let's go." They went out. Mr. Popkin watched them go. Burt Field called from the booth. "Somebody played a joke on you, Mr. Popkin." "No, that was no joke, gentlemen. That was another one of those poison pen letters. Another pack of malicious lies. If it was meant to be deadly serious. It was meant to harm me like those other letters he wrote. Yesterday, Ambrose Baldwin came in. We argued. He's such a sour old man, I thought a joke would cheer him up. So I gave him a bottle of disappearing ink. That letter was written by Ambrose Baldwin. That's why the letter was blank, eh? The ink disappeared. So he's the one who's responsible for those lies. But why? Why did he do it?" Judson Slack gasped. 15 years ago, I took Eleanor away from him. We were both in love with her, but she picked me. He carried a grudge all this time." Horton Cox snapped his fingers. "Good Lord! 15 years ago, he and Simon Pitter applied for the same job. I chose Simon. He must have hated Simon for it ever since." Burt Felds nodded. "Yes, I remember now. Mr. Minton turned him down when he applied for a loan. He didn't have the collateral needed. Mr. Minton always wanted to protect his depositors. It was 15 years ago at least." Ambrose Baldwin looked up to see the three men standing over him. "Slack, Cox, Fields, why have you sneaked in like this?" "Everything you wrote was a lie, Ambrose. You've written your last poison pen letter, your last lie." Ambrose was held down while each man in his turn filled his fountain pen with the solution of lie they brought, stabbing it into his bitter old man's body and emptying it into his bloodstream. "Now it's we who have the poison pens, Ambrose. We who are filling you with lie." Again and again, each of the men repeated the action until Ambrose's screams stopped. Then they watched as Ambrose's body began to blacken, steam, and bubble, and finally reduced to a foul-smelling, oozing pool of putrescence dissolved by the poison from within. "Well, that's what happens to people with poison in their hearts, kiddies. They eventually are destroyed from within." Ambrose poured out one lie after the other, but finally he got a refill. One lie after the other and all. Now get this fun and all because I thought soda store man gave him some disappearing ink. And now I think I'll disappear after that rotten gag. Hope you enjoyed your lurid lunch. Well, I'll see you next in my mag to haunt of fear. Bye now. And the Vault of Horror number 30 slams shut. Thanks for haunting Second Life. Happy Halloween, or else.